The end of a long week at the University of Georgia usually brings a sense of relief. Students and faculty look forward to unwinding, catching up with friends, or simply enjoying the quiet that settles over campus as the sun sets. The main library, a familiar landmark, glows softly in the evening, its doors welcoming late-night scholars and last-minute crammers. But on Friday, August 29, 2025, that peace was shattered by a single terrifying phone call. What began as an ordinary evening quickly spiraled into chaos, as the tranquility of campus life was pierced by the sound of emergency sirens and flashing lights. At around 8:45 p.m., the UGA Police Department received a report of an active shooter inside the main library, a central hub of student life. The call was brief but chilling, and within moments, officers were dispatched to the scene, racing against time. The report was specific and urgent, instantly setting off alarms across campus. Security protocols snapped into place, and the university's emergency response system was activated without hesitation. The words "active shooter" triggered immediate dread, transforming a normal night into a fight for survival. Students who had been studying or chatting with friends suddenly found themselves facing a nightmare scenario they'd only ever practiced in drills. News spread rapidly, first through official alerts, then through frantic texts and social media. Within minutes, the entire campus community was on edge, desperate for information and reassurance. The main library, usually a sanctuary for study, was suddenly seen as a potential scene of horror. Desks were left abandoned, backpacks and laptops forgotten as students scrambled for safety. Students near the library or in nearby buildings felt their world change in an instant. Some hid in classrooms, others barricaded themselves in restrooms, while many more anxiously awaited updates from friends and loved ones. Sirens, emergency alerts, and frantic messages signaled that something was terribly wrong. The campus, once alive with laughter and conversation, was now gripped by fear and uncertainty. The calm of a late summer evening was replaced by fear and confusion. Every shadow seemed threatening, every sound a possible danger. The report was more than information. It was a direct threat to the safety every student expects on campus. In those first moments, the entire university community was united by a single overwhelming question: what was happening inside the main library, and would everyone make it out alive? In moments like these, every second counts. The ordinary rhythm of campus life is shattered in an instant, replaced by a sense of urgency and uncertainty. Students and staff, who just moments before were focused on classes and assignments, suddenly find themselves thrust into a situation no one ever expects to face. UGA police responded immediately, joined by Athens-Clarke County officers converging on the main library. Their training kicked in as they coordinated their approach, each officer knowing that their actions in these first few minutes could make all the difference. Their mission, clear and urgent: isolate the threat, secure the area, and protect lives. The campus, usually open and welcoming, was transformed into a zone of caution and vigilance. At 8:51 p.m., just 6 minutes after the call, a UGA alert was issued, directing everyone to avoid the area and shelter in place. Phones buzzed and screens lit up across campus, spreading the message in seconds. The campus was effectively locked down. Pathways that were bustling just minutes before now stood empty, entrances blocked by police tape and flashing lights. Police cars with flashing lights surrounded North Campus. Officers established a perimeter, working quickly to secure every possible exit and entry point. Students were ordered to clear the area, some rushing out with only their phones and backpacks, others guided by officers to safety. The sense of confusion was palpable, but so was the determination to follow instructions and stay safe. For those inside, the view was one of controlled chaos, law enforcement moving with urgency, preparing for the worst. The sound of boots echoed in the hallways, radios crackled with updates, and every movement was deliberate. The lockdown was a total disruption of normal life, narrowing the university's focus to a single point of danger. The familiar campus landscape was now eerily quiet, every shadow and sound taking on new meaning. Dorm rooms, classrooms, and offices became temporary safe zones. People huddled together, whispering updates, checking their phones, and waiting for news. The swift response showed preparedness, but also underscored the terrifying reality of the threat. The gravity of the situation was felt in every corner of campus. The alerts and police presence created a protective bubble as law enforcement did their work. Outside, news vans arrived and the world began to watch. The entire campus held its breath, waiting for answers, united in hope and fear as the night unfolded. With the perimeter secured, the most dangerous phase began, the search. Heavily armed officers entered the main library, not knowing what awaited them. Every corner, bookshelf, and closed door was a potential threat. The search was methodical. Officers swept each floor, checking study carrels, offices, and restrooms. The silence inside was broken only by radios and footsteps. Officers were searching for a threat that, in their minds, was entirely real. Outside, other officers canvassed the area, gathering information and maintaining the lockdown. The operation involved dozens of law enforcement personnel working seamlessly together. As time passed, a crucial fact emerged. There was no evidence, no gunfire, no witnesses, no injuries. The library was empty of any threat. The meticulous search yielded nothing to corroborate the terrifying report. The absence of evidence was the first clue that the emergency might not be what it seemed. Less than an hour after the initial call, the turning point arrived. The tense atmosphere that had gripped the University of Georgia campus was about to shift dramatically, but no one knew it yet. For nearly 60 minutes, students, faculty, and families had been glued to their phones, desperate for any update, as sirens echoed through the night. By 9:34 p.m., UGA police issued an update. Evidence suggested the active shooter report was a hoax. The announcement came after a rapid but thorough investigation, as officers combed the campus and found no signs of a threat. The news spread quickly, first through official channels, then across social media, reaching thousands in minutes. Relief swept across Athens as students and parents read the update. Tears of fear turned to tears of relief, and the tension that had built up throughout the evening began to dissolve. For many, it was the first deep breath they'd taken in an hour. Minutes later, police confirmed it. There was no threat, and the lockdown was lifted. Students emerged from classrooms and dorms, blinking in the harsh lights, grateful to be safe but still shaken by the ordeal. The immediate crisis was over, but questions remained. Who made the call, and why? The sense of relief was quickly replaced by a need for answers, as the community tried to process what had just happened. The investigation shifted from tactical response to criminal pursuit. Detectives and cybercrime experts began piecing together the timeline, reviewing security footage, and analyzing digital evidence. Law enforcement began tracing the origin of the call, a complex task when perpetrators used technology to hide. Investigators knew that hoax calls like this often involved sophisticated methods to mask identities, making the search for the culprit a race against time. The relief was mixed with anger and frustration. So many resources deployed, so many people terrorized, all for a lie. Students and staff questioned how such a disruption could happen so easily, and what could be done to prevent it in the future. The incident exposed a vulnerability, how easily a single false report could trigger mass panic. The campus, once a place of learning and community, had been transformed into a scene of chaos by a single phone call. The danger was fake, but the fear was real. The emotional scars left by the hoax would linger, as students and staff tried to regain a sense of normalcy. UGA had become the latest victim of a deeply troubling trend, one that raises urgent questions about safety, technology, and the power of misinformation in the digital age. The UGA incident was a textbook case of swatting, a criminal act where someone makes a fake emergency call to trigger a massive police response. Swatters often act for amusement, revenge, or chaos, hiding behind internet anonymity. In the same week, other universities faced similar hoaxes, some with fake gunfire sounds to heighten panic. This wave of attacks suggests a coordinated or copycat effort, creating fear on campuses nationwide. The FBI has issued warnings and is investigating these incidents, working with local law enforcement to track down perpetrators. Swatters use sophisticated technology to mask their location, making them hard to catch. The impact is always destructive, exploiting real fears and weaponizing emergency protocols. Swatting is far from a harmless prank. It puts lives at risk. Police respond with urgency, ready for lethal force, increasing the chance of tragic misunderstandings. Critical resources are diverted from real emergencies, leaving the community more vulnerable. Swatting ties up dispatchers, officers, and even paramedics, draining taxpayer resources. Lockdowns can endanger students with medical needs or trigger severe anxiety. The chaos and fear create real hazards, even without an actual attacker. Swatting erodes trust in law enforcement and desensitizes communities to real alerts. If false alarms become common, people may ignore future warnings, alert fatigue with dangerous consequences. Every swatting incident chips away at the effectiveness of emergency systems. It's a reckless act that puts everyone at risk. Swatting leaves deep psychological wounds on a community. For UGA students, the fear was real, hiding, barricading doors, sending frantic texts. That trauma lingers, leading to anxiety, stress, and a shattered sense of security. The library, once a refuge, became a symbol of imagined violence. Parents, far away, experienced their own terror, desperate for information. Faculty and staff were thrust into crisis mode, trying to protect students. The ripple effects spread far and wide, causing widespread distress. Recovery takes more than an all clear. It requires real support and open conversation. The memory of the hoax is a painful reminder of how fragile our sense of safety can be. Law enforcement is fighting back against swatting, treating it as a serious crime. The FBI dedicates resources to tracking down perpetrators, using advanced digital forensics. Swatters face felony charges, hefty fines, and years in prison. High-profile arrests serve as a deterrent. Swatting will not be tolerated. Agencies are improving response protocols, training dispatchers to spot swatting attempts. Collaboration between federal and local agencies is key, along with public awareness campaigns. The message is clear: these acts have severe consequences. After a hoax like the UGA incident, it's normal to feel unsettled, but it's also a chance to reinforce how to stay safe and informed. Rely on official sources for updates. Don't spread rumors or unverified information. Be prepared, sign up for emergency alerts, know procedures, and have a basic safety plan. Trust law enforcement and follow their instructions. They're trained to keep you safe. Support each other. Reach out to those struggling with the aftermath. Encourage open conversations about mental health and available resources. By responding with unity and resolve, we ensure these malicious acts never break our spirit.